Today is one of those days I want you to take notes. I think I could probably stop saying that. I think that's true every day. Uh, Take 100% responsibility for your life. Subject of today's conversation. Take 100% responsibility for your life. Now I have half a dozen bullet points that I want to share with you, and then a whole lot of questions that I'm going to ask. And my goal today is to give you an opportunity to come back and chat with me and answer some of these questions that I'm going to ask. And please get ready to raise your hand, take yourself off mute, and participate. All right, so here's the first thing I want you to write down. You must take personal responsibility. You cannot change the circumstances, the seasons, or the wind, but you can change yourself. I'm a quote ninja, love quotes, and that one's from Jim Rohn. I'll repeat it for you because I know you're trying to write it down. You must take personal responsibility. You cannot change the circumstances, the seasons, or the wind, but you can change yourself. Most of us have been conditioned to blame something else outside of ourselves for the parts of our life we don't like. Those of you with children, think of yourself when you were a child. What was your natural responsibility when you got caught doing something wrong? I didn't do it. It's not my fault. It's her fault. It's his fault. You're still doing that, and you're 30, 40, 50 years old. I still do that. All right, I want you to write down E plus R equals O. All right, E is the event. What happened? R is your response, and O is the outcome. So the event plus your response equals the outcome. You have many different opportunities every single day to live this out. What's the event? I didn't get the listing. They hired somebody else because so-and-so was willing to reduce their fee, or they gave them a price that was unrealistic. I didn't get the listing appointment because they insisted that I lower my commission, and my response was blank, and I didn't get the appointment. Okay. Question I would ask you is, did you have a response to them asking you to lower your fee, or did you have a reaction to them lowering your fee? And there is a difference. All right. Write the question down. I just said it. What's the difference between a reaction and a response? And we're going to get back to the answer on that one in just a little bit, but I want you to keep taking notes. You only have control over three things in your life. So write it down. There are three things that you have control over. Number one, the thoughts you think. Number two, the images that you visualize. And number three, the actions you take. The thoughts you think, the images you visualize, and the actions you take. You're responsible for that. No one else does, and you control all three of those things. Now, let me add something to that. You have thoughts that pop into your mind. You have subconscious thoughts that you don't even realize are living as you're in your headspace, as you're working through the day, and you find yourself feeling sad for no reason, for example. And if you stop and think, okay, what was I thinking about that led to this feeling? And you'll discover, well, I was thinking about this. And did you choose that? Not necessarily. However, here's what I would tell you. You may not be able to control the first thought, but you can control the second thought and the third thought. And write this down. Stop, erase, replace. When you find yourself having a thought that's holding you back, it's not moving you forward, I literally want you to say out loud, stop, erase, replace. And you're going to erase that negative thought with a positive affirmation. And you might have to repeat it several times in order to change the program, in order to have better thoughts. All right, here's the next thing I want you to write down. If you don't like what you are producing and experiencing, you have to change your responses. If you don't like the results, then change the responses. Now, there's 7 things that you can change. Number 1, change your negative thoughts to positive thoughts. Change your negative thoughts to positive thoughts. Change what you daydream about. What are you dreaming about? Change what you're daydreaming about. And we're going to get back to this one in just a little bit as well. Change your habits. You have good habits, you have bad habits, and you have a choice. You can either hang on to those bad habits or change your habits and create good habits. Change what you read. You all have heard before that a year from now we'll be the same person we are today, other than the people we associate with in the books that we're reading. So what are we reading? Garbage in, garbage out. If you're reading garbage, you're programming garbage, you're going to get garbage out. I would add to that, change what you're listening to. If you're listening to negative talk radio or podcasts, you're programming garbage in, garbage is going to come out. If you're watching something on TV that's programming garbage, you're going to get garbage out. So change what you're reading, change what you're listening to, change who you spend time with in order to change the program. All right, number 6, change your friends. Well, that one's not going to be real popular with everyone. I get it. I'm not asking you to go out today and dump all of your friends. I don't want you to dump any of your friends. What I do want you to do is I want you to pay attention to the people you spend the most amount of time with. And do you need to get a new tribe? Do you need to create a new circle of friends who are impacting your life? If a year from now, you're going to be the same person you are today, other than the time you spend with 5 people who are closest to you, do you have the right 5 who are closest to you, or do you need to find a new group? All right, the 7th thing that you can change is change how you talk. Words matter. Boy, they matter a lot. And when you're talking, your subconscious is listening. So pay attention to what you're saying, change how you talk, pay attention to words that hold you back versus words that push you forward. And remember that your subconscious doesn't have a sense of humor. So if you say something and you're saying something that is negative about yourself, but you're saying it in a I'm just kidding mindset. Okay, your subconscious doesn't know you're kidding. You are literally programming whatever you just said. Oh my gosh, I'm so I'm I can't even think of the word that I'm trying to use. Okay. Change the words. Your subconscious doesn't know what you mean. Okay. Extra credit. What thoughts have been programmed into you? Oh my gosh, Marcus, I could stop and just park on this. We are so quick to believe what we're told, to believe what we read, to believe what we see on social media, and be so careful what's being programmed into you. You know, there's a word for that. It's called brainwashing. Don't be the victim of brainwashing. Pay attention to what is being said and question everything. Is that true? Why is it true? How could it possibly be different? If what you are currently doing would produce the more and better, if what you are currently doing would produce the more and better that you are seeking in life, the more and better would have already shown up. You know, so trainer, coach, motivational speaker, recruiter. And I talk to real estate agents every single day. And what do you think I hear? I hear 2 things immediately. I'm happy. I'm comfortable. I don't want to make a change. So nobody wants to make a change. We fight resistance because it's uncomfortable, it's painful. However, here's the question. if what you are currently doing would produce the more and better. So what is the more and better? What is the more and better for your life? What could you possibly imagine if you thought of the more and better for your life a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What does your life look like? What does your real estate business look like? What does your personal life look like? Your health, your relationships, what do they look like? And if you're not currently living the more and better, then ask what needs to change. Because if what you are currently doing would produce the more and better that you are seeking in life, the more and better would have already shown up. If you're not currently living the more and better, then look at what you're doing, because you need to make a change. In order to get to better, you have to get to different. Tara Carter, I know you were wondering if I was going to say that, so that was for you. If you want something different, you're going to have to do something different. If you want something different, you're going to have to do something different. All right, here's questions I want you to write down, and then I want you to talk to me. And you don't have to answer these questions right now, but I do want you to ask the question, answer these questions. What thoughts are holding you back? I want you to write it down in present tense, personal to you. What thoughts are holding me back? Next question. Define comfortable. Why is it important to you? Define comfortable, and why is that important to you? So many people respond with, I'm comfortable. In other words, I don't want to make any changes. Okay, cool. Define comfortable. Why is that important to you? All right, the next three questions all go together, and then I have a follow-up. What's your greatest fear? Think about it. Write it down. Maybe you need to write down a list of fears in order to find what's your greatest fear. The next question is, what's your biggest dream? What's your greatest fear? What's your biggest dream? Take some time, think about it, write it down. Next question, which one do you focus on more? If you're like most people, you're focusing on your fears. You don't have to tell me. I know it's true. How do I know it's true? Because you're human, just like I am, and that's what we do. Now, the follow-up question is why? Why do we do that? Next question. When someone or something makes you angry, do you react or do you respond? What's the difference? What's the difference in the outcome? Last question. What yellow alerts? So if you think back to Star Trek, for those of you who are old enough to remember this TV show, and you hear yellow alert, yellow alert, yellow alert, right? What are the yellow alerts in your life that you are ignoring? Why? Why are you ignoring them? What if you didn't? What would you change? Guys, it's everywhere. I'm telling you, it's everywhere. Just do your research. In the last 20 years, what's changed in the business world? How did it change? Was there any writing on the wall that these changes were coming? And why did corporations ignore these yellow alerts? What if they didn't? How does that apply to you? All right, guys, take yourself off mute. Talk to me. I gave you a lot of talking points. I gave you a lot of questions. I want to know your thoughts around this. There's 40, 50 people here. There's another 40, 50 watching it live streamed. And everybody who's listening wants to hear your thoughts because you have something important to say that could change our lives. So please, don't be shy. take yourself off mute.
Hey, John, good morning. It's Marcus.
There you go,
Uh,
buddy. Thank you.
uh, Man, I have so much. This is so rich, but I'm going to try to condense it very quickly. I think one of the things that struck me as you're talking is, we don't rise to our greatest self. We fall to our basest self as a default, right? So we always
Mm.
have to work towards this. And never was that more clear than last night. My daughter has two huge tests. She's 12, two huge tests today at school. And last night she was so frustrated, she kept calling herself stupid.
Mm.
John, she's far from stupid, right? But she was calling herself stupid over and over again. We talked about, words create worlds. That's the thing I always tell my kids, God spoke the world into existence. So, we
Mm.
speak our world into existence because words have power. And so I tried to, explain it to her, but I sat down and I worked with her and I just helped her. We went over her study courses. And by the end of it, she was very confident. And this morning we ran through them again and she knew every single question. So, it's just putting it's telling yourself the truth about who you are, that you can walk in victory, and then you reinforce that confidence, and the whole world opens up. So, thank you, John.
That was great. Marcus, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. One of the things that I did with my son when he was younger, and going through some hard times, right? And you look at Colin today and you're like, oh my gosh, this kid has come so far. It's incredible. But one of the things that I did with him, Marcus, is I asked him every day to tell me 5 things that he liked about himself. And he did. And the program started to change. Tara Carter, Magende, you're on deck.
So before I say what my response was, can you give an example of a yellow alert in life?
Yeah, I can. All right. So the market shift is a yellow alert. We could ignore that and say, no, I had an open house, 20 people came, the market's not shifting. All right, go back and study the market between 2006 and 2008 before the bottom dropped and prices started to fall. And you'll see that there were periods of time where the market started to come back. It had brief comebacks before the bottom fell out. Am I saying that's going to happen? No, I'm not. But I'm saying that it possibly could be. You need to do a little bit more research before you declare that we're back in the 2021 market. Boy, I'm seeing that on Facebook and I'm like, guys, be careful. I'll give you another example. Netflix, when it first came on the scene, actually went to Blockbuster and offered to sell their company to Blockbuster. Blockbuster looked at them and said, you guys are nuts. We don't want your itty bitty little company. We're the king of the hill. Why would we want you? There were yellow alerts that Blockbuster ignored. And because they ignored those yellow alerts, they filed bankruptcy. I can give you many more, Tara.
I love that. And then, I've always thought like it doesn't, I will have to remind myself, it doesn't matter what is going on in the market at the time. You make your own market.
Yep.
Literally. So thank you for sharing. So when you had talked about, do you react or do you respond? And what's the difference? It reminded me of naming my ego exercise. And now that I was able to name my ego, and I think people have this misconception that an ego could be bad. Well, your ego could also actually help you. And if you understand and start to recognize when your ego is talking versus when you are talking, my world is changing, because I'm like, my reaction sometimes is it ego or is it Tara respond for the initial reaction? And then it's usually Tara that goes and responds after that. So identifying who your ego is. And it took me about 2 weeks to name my ego. And then finally I just looked in the mirror and I was like, what is your name? And her name is Trina, by the way. And Trina sometimes helps me, and sometimes she can help me take me to the next level. She can get me through my day. She can get me through an uncomfortable scenario. She can get me through a listing appointment that I'm a little nervous for, whatever it is. And then sometimes Trina really, really hurts me. So I like that you made sure that you asked, like, what's the difference between being reactive versus are you responding?
Love that. Tara Carter, thank you for sharing. By the way, you're going to know the answer to this question. So my ego that gets in the way has a name. Alan gave me that name. It's Football John. And whenever Football John shows up, not a good thing. All right. Hey, by the way, reaction response, you go to the doctor and the doctor prescribes medication. You go back to the doctor and the doctor says, you're having a reaction, good or bad? Thumbs up, thumbs down. You're having a reaction. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? It's a bad thing. Now, if the doctor, if she tells you the medicine is working, you're responding to the medication, good thing. To respond is good, to react, not necessarily. All right, Magenda, talk to me.
Hey, John. Thank you so much for this conversation because I am on a journey of understanding my self-talk and what that looks like to me and who has implanted the self-talk in me and being aware of the thoughts that I have that doesn't serve me when I'm going door knocking, thinking that these people don't want to hear from me or what value I can bring to them. I have to remind myself, or one question I ask myself is, who told you this? Who told you that these people don't want you to knock on their door? Or who told you these people don't want this value from you? And if I cannot pinpoint somebody that told me this, and it's just my drunk monkey talking. So that has been a way for me to get over or understand my self-talk better, because sometimes our ego is trying to protect us and ourselves are trying to protect us. But then there's time where it's just like, who told you this? There's no danger here, you know? And that's just a way for me to continue moving forward and for me to be more aware of my thoughts and how they interact with me. If I can't find an answer, then I'm gonna let it go and I'm gonna keep moving forward to what I need to move forward to.
Magenda, that was awesome. Guys, did you hear that? Write it down. Who told you this? Love that. Okay, we're gonna end on that. I don't see any other hands up. So if I'm missing anybody, please just start yelling at me. Thanks for being here. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the opportunity to go on this journey with you. Remember that we're on a journey with a destination that is assured. When you're on a journey with a destination that is assured, you're never going to stop. You're never going to look for an exit. You're never going to look for a detour because you know the destination is assured. Now, here's what I can tell you. When you're on a journey with a destination that is assured, the destination doesn't change, but sometimes the actions that you're taking in order to get there do need to change. Pay attention. It's a yellow alert. Are you listening? All right. Make it a great day, everybody.